You are about to receive messages that may be harmful to your mental state. Your sense of reality will be questioned. Your view on things will be altered. You are now part of the Meta. The Meta controls everything. The Meta determines what will and will not happen. You are watching The Meta Show.
I did it right this time, I swear.
We're live. We are.
I fixed it. It's okay.
Excellent. Hail Satan. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for deigning to grace us with your presence. We have here today a special show. We're going to be talking about the announcement of this year's Burn Jita. And for that, we have a special guest. That is Joe Painter, who is one of the directors in charge of the Ministry of Love, who will be spreading love to Jita and beyond. Are we clear to openly talk about the dates for this sucker, Joe? Like, what's the
I guess I don't really care.
I love that.
All right. Okay, yeah. So I'm checking things out. We're getting a bunch of people subscribing, and there's a new type of sub notification.
Yeah, yes.
So I'm seeing Big Red Bear. I can't even pronounce that. Oxide.
What's really cool about this new thing, for those who don't know, before we start yelling out, is that if you've subscribed before and then went AFK, like you just went backpacking for a year, you can then start subscribing again, and it will tell us, like, hey, you've been subscribed a total of 25 months, and you get to keep your little subscriber badge. So don't feel bad if you miss a month and lose 4 years worth of subscribing. You'll still get it.
Oh, that's civilized. I'm
Yes.
kind of surprised that Twitch didn't have that as a thing before.
Jeff Bezos
Bezos bucks, gotta love it. Yeah,
Yes.
Pew Pew stuff, Darth Kill, being all holy fuck, guys, this is
we've got
insane.
about 20 subscribers right now.
This is a lot, and I am delighted to see people throwing money at the multi-dollar meet. I will spend it all on scotch and God only knows what. Speaking of sponsors, which we weren't speaking of, but I'm going to give a shout out today regardless. So also, we should probably get the Blue Microphone subscriber badge or sponsorship badge on the show. I have this lovely little sucker here, which is my Blue Yeti on my shock mount, and I'm rocking these blue headphones. And on the Fireside today, people were complimenting the quality of the mic and saying it sounded like I was getting ready to do a professional quality audio thing. And so yeah, even when people don't know that we're doing shoutouts for Blue Mics, it seems to work.
Yeah, we don't have the little badge because we did the giveaway last week, so we had to like change the background. So it's being adjusted. We're work in progress right now on all the backgrounds and everything. So it's coming.
Maybe I'll, one of the things that had been getting in the way, people have talked about us doing like a meta show or some other like Eve Politics related podcast. And one of the reasons why I've never looked into it seriously is that I'm old and I like missed that phase where suddenly podcasts became like a massive like thing on the internet. 5 or 6 years ago, people would be like, do a podcast. And be like, only 100 people listen to podcasts, fuck off. They got huge. But one of the things that was in the way of us doing a podcast in any capacity is the fact that I didn't have any good audio equipment and just sort of I feel like I should be running a radio show. Like, there's just something about having a boom mic on your desk, and like, it just seems like why am I not doing a political talk show in the morning and like.
What's nice too is that you can get it out of the way. Like, mine's above my monitors just enough to where it catches my voice, but doesn't interfere with the eyesight on the monitors, which is why I love it. But yeah, so we do have Blue. Last week we gave away a pick of whatever Blue microphone product you wanted, and we had a winner, and that was a very shocking winner because it definitely wasn't just a random person. But yeah, for those that don't know, I did chop off the beard. Sorry.
Jiggling is Boat's king. Can we?
Yeah, I do. I move around a lot. All right, I'm excited because today is all about HiSec. If you didn't see the title and the guest and the other guest, CCP is making some changes. We're gonna talk about that a little bit. Those are coming soon, i.e. February, like really soon. And we have 3 different dev blogs that I picked things out of that would matter to you guys. And then we also are gonna talk about the war in HiSec, which is currently raging. There's a fight going down that's been going on for like the last 2.5 hours over one structure, one little structure. There's 6 total. This is one of them.
So is this over the Keepstar, or is this one of the Fortizars there?
This is just a random Asbel.
Okay.
Tess is just clearing them out. And what's interesting about these random Asbels is that, like, their war deck system is really goofy. Maybe Joe Painter can comment on his expertise with this, but, like, we didn't have a Horde war deck till about an hour after the fight started. So, like, right in the middle of the fight, they're still orange, but we can shoot them. So it's very confusing and weird stuff.
Well, you know, thankfully we have an expert on high sec
Yes.
here, that being Joe Painter. We also have, of course, Jay Amazingness, our guest, who typically is just here to make sure that Boat and I don't shit the bed completely, but maybe he will deign to actually say a few words if we put him on the spot.
Well, he'll be here soon. He had to step away for a minute, but he said he will come on and talk and be talkative. He's here to talk about patch notes and help us make sense of all these awesome changes the CCP is making.
So yeah, let's catch up here for a second. What has been going on? What do we want to be talking about first and foremost?
So the first thing we're going to talk about is this mysterious group called Mini Love, or the Ministry of Love. We brought Jody Painter on to talk on. We actually tried to get Ministry of Love to go on talking stations because I like Matt Arall and he's a nice guy. But we just couldn't find it, and I was busy working, and it was just a pain. So we brought Mini Love guy here because we have a big announcement. We're going to tell all our viewers here that Jita will burn again. And so that's why we're here with Joe Painter. And we actually have a button to press before we talk about that, because this is our top story. Oh, and thank you, Zalman, for gifting 5 tier 1 subs. Thank you. So
wow, that's awesome.
And now
I'll need to find something just completely frivolous and ridiculous to spend the multi-dollar Media Empire funds on. I have no idea what. I'll figure it out.
So, yeah.
Don't worry. Whatever you spend on the meta show, I'll find a way to waste it. I need to learn how to be frivolous. It's something I'm working on, kind of like in that turn 40 and learn how to splurge thing. So it's a goal. So I appreciate all the subs, and believe me. Oh wow, that's funny, because one of the people that Zalman randomized got to is somebody with a call sign Twitch handle of Serenity Steel, and I don't know if that's the actual Serenity Steel of ISS fame, which would be hilarious as an Ancient Eve call. But I think that's actually, speaking of Ancient Eve callbacks, that's something that I do want to hit on the show, is that over the course of the last week, we did hit, of course, the 10-year anniversary of the disbanding of Band of Brothers, which is kind of a big deal and rather near and dear to my heart. Wow, it is actually that Serenity Steel. I'll be damned.
I did jack up my microphone because people were complaining. I got PMs on Jabber.
Okay.
So it's been jacked up. But
let's talk about Burn Jita. We were supposed to be on our top story, so we're going to talk about Burn Jita. And Burn Jita, of course, started in 2012 and has had a number of iterations over the years. Joe, for people who are new to EVE or people who have no idea what the Ministry of Love is, how we spread love, and what they can expect, why don't you take the floor here for a moment and just tell us what is Burn Jita and why should everybody be excited about watching HiSec burn?
Yeah, sure. So the Ministry of Love is the HiSec ganking sig of the Imperium. And it's essentially Burn Jita is our big weekend every year. We go for essentially 72 hours of excitement and ganking within HiSec. We essentially just shut Jita down for a weekend and kill everything coming through, for it, whether it be Shump freighters or freighters, orcas, etc. We just try to rack up as much killed as possible within a weekend and have fun doing it.
Yay.
Now, do you know if there is going to be a resistance this year? In previous years, not always, some years, the rest of EVE bands together and tries to stop the Ministry of Love to varying degrees of success. Have you seen any indication that people are going to try to stop us this year, or people just have their heads in the sand and aren't aware of it? What are your...
I mean, as always, there's so-called anti-gankers around, and as always, anti-ganking always fails. So, sure they'll try, but I doubt they'll get anything done. We're pretty accomplished. We know what we're doing.
Now, year over year, there are often changes to the mechanics of HiSec, especially because Minilove really understands things about HiSec mechanics in a sort of operative way that a lot of people don't. Minor changes can result in drastic tactical shifts. Should we be expecting a different style of Burn Jita this year? Is that something that, and if you want to keep this OPSEC, then by all means keep it OPSEC. Are we going to be doing the same stuff we did last year? Or we got something new to look forward to in terms of cool murderous shit? What are we thinking?
No, nothing crazy is going to be different this year. HiSec's been actually pretty stagnant. There's not been a ton of I guess, mechanical changes within ganking, at least within the last couple of years. The last big one, at least, was the damage control change, which upped the EHP of a lot of freighters. But even then, that's not going to be an issue here. With Burn to 4 kids, we switched from Catalyst to Coursers. We're going to keep using that this year. So that's about it.
Last year was Burn to 5 kids. Is this year?
Yep.
This year's Burn to 5 kid.
No, last year was Burn to 5 kids.
Burn to 5 kids last year. Burn to 4 kids the year before that. So this is going to be Burn to 6.
Yep.
That's excellent.
Question here, two ones for me. One is, with all the war that's going on in HiSec, we're Wardex currently to I believe, what's that group called? NC, we have PL, we have Horde, and there's pretty much nonstop fighting in Perimeter on a almost weekly basis. Is it possible that those Wardex will interfere with anything, or is it just going to be like the usual, we dodge them and laugh at them and make fun of them?
Not at all. I mean, so essentially all year round, Mini-Love operates at -10, so we're essentially constantly Wardecked by all of EVE, so it does not change anything for us. We're going to still be doing the same old.
And then next question is, the relation, like you guys in the past have always worked with and killed Gank Thing with Code. Is that relationship still a thing? Like, is it still Mini-Love and Code working together, or has that split up?
That's more of a question for Diplos these days. There was a slight falling out, and I think technically we're still -5 with them. But personally, I think I have a fairly good relationship with them, so I expect things to operate as normal.
Yeah, okay. That's,
even if we might be set red in game.
Yeah, because they always, like, they're still murdering freighters, we're still murdering freighters. That's why I asked if maybe that, like, when Burgita shows up, will they just, hey, we're going to come help, we're going to make this a cool thing. Because there was a couple of Code guys last year that were pretty cool. And
absolutely, yep. So, yeah, I'm sure we'll have Code folks coming along still and having fun. We have the common objective of killing freighters and getting dunks, so I'm sure we'll all come together once.
What was the kill total last year?
Just about 740 billion, I believe, over the 3-day period. So
what's the goal? A trillion this time?
I'm not going to make lofty claims like that. As long as we get over 500, 600, I'm happy there.
Well, I mean, this is a great segue moment. Just a couple days ago, you guys, let me see if I got the right kill more here. Yep, this one, this Charon. You just, actually, yeah, it was 4 days ago. You guys obliterated a Charon with 47 billion in Isanomo. What is it like when you get whales like when you spot them, when you see something like this? What's the reaction like?
Oh, initially it's all just adrenaline rush. So I've been scanning for 6 hours. I've seen nothing. Oh God, there's a 50 bill Sean moving. In reality, that Sean actually ended up being a lot more. There's a couple super BPCs. I believe there might be also an Erebus BPC in there, as well as a bunch of Abyssal mods. So
yeah, you don't see those.
E-Appraisal does not, or Z-Kill does not have that fully valued.
God, that's
so
amazing.
It's well above 50 bill. But yeah, overall, it's mainly just intensity until we get a bump, and then we get a kill. But the interesting about that one was that's actually the Executor of Fraternity.
Oh.
Yep.
So it's that guy's freighter. I didn't know that. Oh, that's a big deal. Like that, yeah, this is one Erebus, 3 Nyx BPCs were recovered. That's absolutely amazing. I mean, historically, Burngita, you get the crowd that like posts everywhere they can to try and keep people to stay out. Do we? I can't remember last year. I know the year before we saw some whales, but what's the biggest one you would like to see? Like if people are coming through with like a group of freighters, like right now on the Gita Gate, there's 9 orcas all coming together. Is something like that something you would target over, say, just a random guy coming along, or?
Oh yeah, I'm always a fan of the double and the triple dunks. You know, maximum damage to a single person is always great. I mean, what I'd really hope to see this year, which I doubt, it's always T2 BPOs. Those are always the great kills.
Yeah.
How often do you see actual T2 BPOs drop?
I've seen 2, 3 in my lifetime. Not very many.
Well, maybe this year we'll see a Saber BPO and we'll get ours.
Yeah, maybe we'll finally get one. Yeah.
That would be excellent.
Now, in the first couple of Burnjitas, I remember I spent a lot of time just killing people that would war deck us to try and like fuck with us, and that was a lot of fun. I mean, do you see that as still as an opportunity this one? Last year there wasn't as much. Like I didn't see really that many like bad guys roaming around trying to fuck with us last year. I mean,
oh, absolutely. I mean, there's always like little groups within Mini-Love that will just go around not with the main fleet and just kill randoms like anti-gankers, people's nesters, etc. That's always a good time, as well as just smaller shit like pods and stuff. Just help rack up the total kill count.
Now, as a question, last year during Burn Jita, did you notice that over the course of the burn that high-sec pubbies became more aware and started avoiding the system? Or would you say that the flow of freighters was pretty consistent and that the people who were going in and out were, by and large, clueless about what was taking?
Oh, they're essentially all clueless. I mean, the big whales, like jump freighter pilots, etc., generally are smart enough to know that we're running. It won't come through. But there's a lot of dummies in high-sec. They keep coming.
A lot of dummies. I like the word that.
That's going to be fantastic. I mean, is this a sort of thing, like when you're doing this in the past, what's the longest stretch? Do you personally FC these fleets?
Yeah, I'll definitely FC during US time zone. I'll probably have a Euro running in European time zone, and then I'll probably cross over to AU
what's
time
the
zone.
longest stretch you've had to do this? Like, because I know that one of the things that's fascinating to me is this is kind of like, this is like a marathon. This is like a triathlon, an endurance competition, right? For the FCs
absolutely.
and for the gankers. It's just insane the level of effort that the guys in Minilove put forward. Like, these guys are, some of them, they don't sleep. In some cases, they don't sleep for the entire burn. What's the longest that you've gone, and what's the longest that you've seen done from one of your boys?
There's definitely a lot of Adderall and caffeine being consumed. I think I went last year, I went for 60 hours over the course of the 3-day period. So a lot.
God damn. That's impressive. Do you guys end up getting kind of like slap happy after a while, or is everybody just on enough combat drugs that that they stay laser?
Oh no, you absolutely end up going crazy at the end. It's pretty terrible, but we do it for the kills.
That's awesome.
Apparently, we just lost a fight in high-sec, according to Adept TD, and I don't know. I guess we had some Feroxes over there.
Yes.
And did we lose a fight in high-sec? And is that the end for the Imperium?
Yes, this is the end.
My Feroxes. Without our Ferox backbone, we are destroyed.
Yeah, I was there. Lots of things died. I think
you say that we lost the fight, right? And I go to Ezekiel and I click related, and it's 20 billion ISK on our side and 6 billion ISK on their side.
Well,
20 million versus 6 billion.
20 bill versus 6 bill.
Oh, I don't know if we can recover from that.
Maybe a tough one.
All right, well, I guess show is over, give up, close things down. But yeah, that's if you were there on that fight, Jay, what can you tell us about it?
I was there right at the start, like an hour or so. It's basically both sides undock their Ferox fleets. They warp to the structure that they're going to fight on, and then you just, as an FC, you just broadcast targets until everyone's dead, right? There's no real reship. People reship all the time, so you have a constant stream of people. It's just basically who runs out of stashed ships first.
Hello, I was there.
Hi.
Hello, you were
Hi,
there.
I
A
was
wild
there.
K-Killer. Perfect timing. K-Killer, what the hell is going on?
So Test wanted to try something else out, something new. You know, probably another PGL play. They used RD Maelstroms and a Ferox fleet, and they just got warped at 0 by the Feroxes and apparently couldn't track anything. The reason they did this, I believe, is because Horde, NC, whatever, are just Kintherm tanking all of their Feroxes, so they wanted to go something that could choose EM damage and punish them for it. But I don't think that was the right ship to do that.
Oh, well.
Yeah, it looks like Tess gonna lose like 100 Maelstroms and a bunch of Feroxes. Oh no. Oh no. That's the end right there. I didn't have
This wasn't over one of the actual Keepstars. This is just related to Citadel purchase.
Yeah, just a random Citadel.
It was a final timer in Asbel. They ended up getting it to 5% structure, but it just, I guess it's not worth the losses.
It is an interesting place in the game currently because I went looking for news over the last week because, periodically I think it becomes too easy of an assumption to say, like, nothing is really happening in EVE, etc. But there have been things happening in EVE. Kalevala, however the fuck you say it, the drone has been kind of set on fire. That's not new, but the fact that so many of the nullsec blocks are having these engagements in highsec, just it does seem a little weird, right? Like we're all fighting.
It's a fight club.
That makes sense.
It's a place where there's none of the like the bullshit mechanics. So like, there's no supers that anyone can drop on anyone. There's no like chain booshing. So like, people can't like run around the grid with chain boosters. There's no bombs. There's no bubbles. It's probably the best place to learn if you're like worried about like broadcasting targets and like anchoring. It's probably the best place to learn to do it as like a newer FC probably.
Now, could you have these kind of fights in 0-0 as it is? Because it seems like, from my perspective,
No,
you just like go.
No,
at 0
you don't have them at all.
Right. Like, you just go at 0 on each other and shoot.
Someone
each
would
other
just drop
until you die.
supers. Like,
Right.
you'd walk to the hostile fleet, they'll tackle you, and just they'll drop 60 supers on you, and you're done.
I'm gonna go ahead and give an analogy here. This high-sec fighting reminds me of like lining people up on the battlefield, firing at each other until one side gets bored and just warps off, right? Like, and runs away. So
it is a Napoleonic Wars analogy
I
rather
would
than
venture
a
to
World
say,
War II
yeah.
now.
Like,
It's a step up.
because nowadays you have, like Jay said, the supers will get dropped. So that's like the bombers, right? You didn't have bombers in the Napoleonic Wars. You had guys with single shot guns who would just shoot at each other until one died. And we had a guest last week say that everything dies. You get headshot. Like, there's no reps that really land too well.
Like, both sides have stopped bringing like T2 logistics and T2 support ships. It's literally the most expensive thing on grid is a T2 figure. Or in this case, these successful.
Feels more like a hockey brawl where they just like take turns exchanging punches while holding each other's sweaters.
Ooh.
Now, are most of our forces out there? Is this Suddenly Seaman, our Alpha Clone group, or is it Main Fleet? Who's engaged in this?
From our side, there's a lot of plans.
It was mostly just Suddenly Seaman, or it was designed for Suddenly Seaman. You know, it's possible that people came up there with their own Alpha clone or their own Omega clones and just shipped into Phyrexes.
One of the things that is a shame, we do Fireside Bingo now. That's become a thing for our weekly Fireside chats. And I did forget on the Fireside to make mention of Suddenly Seaman and how people should be engaging and joining that with their Alpha Clone alts. But we are using them on the regular, and that is only going to continue. So I think it's really cool to see these fights happening to generate interest in that.
And I got a question. Since we got our high-sec guy here. What is, like, do you think, and then maybe this is an opinion-based thing more than a thing, should neutral boosting characters or neutral reps exist in the high-sec play?
Yes.
There's no neutral reps because you go suspect if you rep someone that's taking damage from a war target. But like the neutral boosters it's used so infrequently, like in larger scale battles, that it doesn't really cause an issue. Like, I guess in like the 30 versus 30, oh, this dude, I want to, build my mission ammo in this citadel, but the tax is too high, let me go kill it. People are going to use neutral odds for that, so I don't see it as a problem, though.
Yeah, no, I just think it's an inherent mechanic of HiSec, and you just have to deal with it. I think it's honestly good for the game. It makes HiSec interesting compared to the rest of EVE.
Speaking of these fights, we're seeing a situation here where the majority of Horde, and this is Horde versus Test, and then everybody else kind of piles in. But we did have a thing where we wanted to try and get enemy FCs on this show. We've tried to do this a lot. Killabee comes frequently. We've had people like...
we have a lot of hostile FCs on the show,
right,
on the regular. I mean, it's a pretty standard guess.
And this is a great segue, because last week we invited Alpha Star Pilot. Alpha Star Pilot is the up-and-coming block-level FC for Horde. Horde is now able to field 2 or 3 of its own fleets. That puts them on a capable of swinging fights level. So we wanted him on here to talk, and we invited him. And he told us many, many times, me specifically, that he couldn't be on the show because higher-ups prevented it. We have chat logs of me and him chatting. And this little audio bit you're going to hear, and I hope you can hear it, I'm going to test out and see if you can hear it, is from him on Talking in Stations, which, again, I love Talking in Stations. Great show. With Matterall, talking about this show and our invitation. So here we go.
with their
No,
wallets.
that's not what I said. I said if you're metagaming to destroy content in EVE, you're doing it wrong.
And you're going to say that with a straight face as a member
Hey,
of
he
the
comes up
Imperium.
next here. Hold on.
Well, we'll come back to that in a second. But let me bring in Alpha Star, who wanted to talk earlier. Did you have an opinion on this?
Oh, I was just gonna say something about the meta show since it came up, but we kind of transitioned. But I'll just say like my 2 cents that I think it's like a joke how DBRB and Mittani just dance in their little circle, trashing goblins every single time. Like there's a reason like I don't go on it, and DBRB like decided to call me out last night about me not coming on, and it's just like a joke because this stream is like nice because everyone's just casually talking about things and calmly sharing their opinions, even right now how Carneros and PGL are disagreeing, but like on the meta show is just DBRB screaming over everybody. And like I went on there once and it was all about like Gobbins is bad at this, Gobbins sucks at this, Gobbins is stealing your risk, Gobbins is doing that, and I'm like I'm an FC, you want to ask me about like fights and like Horde's content, or are you going to keep like asking me these weird spun up questions about Gobbins? So like I don't know, I think if they want like more people to come on their show that aren't just Imperium and Killaby, they should probably just stop like shrieking about Gobbins every 2 seconds and like try to diversify their content.
So you've noticed that it
plans to do that.
So yeah, so he apparently went on open comms, or not open comms, talking stations here, and they're trying to ask him about like his opinion of how things are going in the game, like the fights and stuff. And the first words out of his mouth are, "But they were mean to me on the meta show." And I don't. Like, I went back and looked at his
show. I think what was funny is like we didn't play this part of the clip, but shortly thereafter, the follow up is
I could do it.
Pro God Legend proceeds to call out Alpha Star Pilot, and Alpha Star Pilot insists that he enjoys talking shit about other people and that it's perfectly okay to talk smack when he's doing it, but apparently he can't.
Would you like to hear that? I can.
I think that would be fascinating if we can play Pro God Legend owning him.
If I knew that like that would get you that wound up, I'm gonna tell Boat to do that every 30 seconds every show. 30 seconds of every show, just mention Goblins once, and it gets you all spun up.
That's what I was wondering. If has this affected you guys in Horde? Is it motivating you or anything?
I mean, affect us negatively? No. Affect us positively? No. Everyone's just like, LOL. Okay, let's go do something else instead. Like, there's a reason. Like, people like me. Like, I play this game like because I like to strategize and run.
Don't say you don't like to talk shit, Alpha Star. You've been feeling yourself the past 2 weeks.
Hell yeah. I enjoy my fair share of talking trash, but
well, then what's wrong with them talking trash? You can dish it, but you can't take it.
No, I absolutely can. But I mean, there's one situation where you can talk trash during a fight on Discord versus like trying to invite somebody on to have a discussion with them about events occurring in the game and just repeating the same things.
I can't listen to him anymore. I'm sorry, but yeah, that's
enough. The Pro God Legend.
I'm sorry, like. You gotta understand my history with people like Progon. The Progod is immediately says now we've fought Progod for years and years and years. He still loves to come on the show. He'll frequently bring it up. I mean, Haiwanto is not blue to us anymore, and even in the past we shot Haiwanto. He'll come on. So his idea that
it's almost like people with somewhat of a decently thick skin can take sitting here for an hour listening to you guys. Maybe he's just worried that you will expose him. Like, maybe he'll just break down and, like...
I mean, look...
Maybe he just can't handle it.
He's a kid. The thing is, though...
I don't think he's a kid anymore.
Well...
I think he's older than me.
Haiwanto's younger than him, and he'll come on here and sling punches. Like, throw punches, and everyone thinks it's great. So, I don't know. Look, if he had just been honest and been like, look, you guys talk too much shit about my alliance leader, that's why I can't make it on. Sorry, lol. That would have been fine. But to him to go, oh, I talked to my alliance leadership, and they don't want me on INN because it gives you guys... gobloons, then that would have been, no problem. Right?
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. But we'll need to. Since Mittens is here, can we get a definition of how much Mittani bucks to gobloons? What's the conversion rate there? We might be able to crowdfund some Mittani bucks.
We could have a Kickstarter for it, maybe.
Yeah.
I just want to say that this brings up a very important point, which is I just want to say, leave Gobbins alone. That's basically just all I got from this. Was it reminded me of that Britney Spears guy, and I can't do a very good imitation of it because I'm just not fabulous enough. But
look, I don't I don't know. I mean, Alpha Star, I haven't really dealt with him enough to understand why he would be so hesitant to come on here. I mean, yeah, we talk shit about Goblins because Goblins deserves it. When you equate your alliance to a McDonald's, I mean, yeah, there's not much else we can say about that, right? Like, it's bad.
You know, let's be realistic here. It's a relatively slow news week here, so we're poking fun at Alpha Star Pilot, and simply because, not because he's particularly relevant, but I had no idea that us making fun of Goblins would result in him having a little leave Goblins alone meltdown on the Toggin station, or that he'd be so butt blasted about it.
One of his points is kind of weird because I went back and looked at the video of us having him on the show. We straight up asked him, like, what's it like being a strategic FC? What's it like running fleets for Horde? Do you find any problems with that? Is Goblins hard to work with? Like, we asked him questions that are relevant to him, so I don't know what his man-childness is about. Like, just sounds like he's just bitter that the attention's not on him.
Well, some people are saying that it sounds like he made a point, and the nice thing is that people can make their own judgments because, you know, whatever. Like, I think it's amusing. I didn't even know that we had that gabloons were a thing until last week on the show, and my mind was blown. Anyway, there's no real news here. It's just kind of like, it's pretty rare that we have somebody freaking out about what we say on the meta show. You can say that they're not freaking out. You can say that he's making a perfectly reasonable point. I disagree. Whatever.
I've got a link, and you guys are going to love this, and I want to hear Jay's opinion about this.
Oh, God, Robin Hood clipped my Leave Goblins Alone imitation. That's fantastic.
That's great. So here's a link to a kill mail. This is a revelation that died, and you look at this and you think, oh, this must have been the faction revelation that died, the really fancy one. But no, it's a normal one. 27 billion ISK.
Dude, what a fucking bowler this dude is.
So this guy has never had a kill mail in his entire EVE career. Yet he lost this revelation on a high sec gate. He also, if you look at his previous lost mails, has lost 3 50 billion plus paladins. This guy has lost almost 400 billion ISK in like 6 or 7 ships and never fucking killed a thing.
But when you're making as much money he does doing level 4 missions, you don't care about your kill border. This dude is rolling in it.
It is really impressive that he's managed to, like, not even... Is he not trying? Is he just running missions all the time? Like, to never have a single kill mail is...
Who knows? But, like, it's almost like he got pissed off that he lost his 25 billion-ist paladin in HiSec and wanted to go roaming in a revelation in Malaya. And, well... yeah, that lasted long.
Now, what's interesting, it reminds me of one of the top articles on INN was an interesting compilation that somebody had done a bunch of digging to discover just some of the most ridiculous lost mails ever generated by somebody coming in and just spending way too much money on. And this kind of reminds me of that, but in that context, the guy who was famous for like just those crazy ass lost mails, he was trying to PvP and actively trying to engage in it. What's interesting to me about this one is you have somebody who is leaving these fantastic lost mails, but does not appear to be attempting to do it for PvP purposes at all.
Yeah. Yeah, his pod was worth 11 bill. Like, here's the thing. I PvP in expensive toys from time to time, but you could put together a nice piece of work for 3 billion and do some killing. Like, this guy put together 30 billion in a revelation plus pod. I got nothing.
Now, I don't know a damn thing about level 4 missions. Can you actually use a dreadnought on a level 4 mission? Why does this guy have a dread?
Oh, no, it was...
You can't, no.
Yeah. His dread is web and... This has a web and a scram, like a point. Like, he's PvP fit. But, like, he's got, like, a Draclyra's mod on here that's 7 billion, and he's just... Fuck.
Yeah, I think he's just a baller. He doesn't give a fuck.
Like, Secret Arathol confirmed. Arathol confirmed. It explains it. I mean, this dude's terrible at PvP, and, you know... Who else is terrible at PvP and has a lot...
Yeah, right. Like when Aerith lost those 11 billion in Plex because he just left it in a ship and forgot about it. But this is an interesting thing. So I just wanted to throw that in there before we go to our next topic. And this is CCP, please. We haven't done this. Cool graphics. But CCP, we tried to get them on the show. They're keeping things rather close-chested, not going on any shows until Amsterdam, which is coming up. They're going to do a lot of talking there, and they want to kind of keep things to themselves for now. But they did tell us some dev blogs are coming, and they have. We have 3 new dev blogs. I'll have a link to the dev blog page if you want to go through all 3. But the highlights of these and what I think matters to you guys and why we have Jay here are some pretty noticeable ones. The first one is your ability, if you right-click an item in your tab, you can then do find in personal assets, and it will now find all of those items all over Eve in the search, just those items. So if you're looking for a specific ship and where you have them, it will find them all. Absolutely amazing.
Sounds it, but it really sounds it. Right, so the first dev blog they added was the launcher changes. Some people don't like the launcher changes. I don't go shit. No, it's apparently it has too much advertising. Some people are saying, you know, all you need is a button that clicks to play your account, right? You don't care about advertising. K-Color was complaining that they need to re-add the Eve time to the thing. But if you Boat doesn't have it on yours. Fuck.
No, this is the launcher
right, so
I have. So.
I have the Eve time on mine because I'm using the beta Eve launcher. So if you would like to use the beta Eve launcher, they actually have the Eve time on there now. So, all right. In terms of like deployment with the launcher, it went smoothly. Like they didn't forget my account, so I didn't have to add them again. That's cool. It broke ISBoxer, but you know, patches break things. It'll probably be fixed next week or whatever.
Yeah. Well, Lax said in the ISBoxer Discord that he's not going to be fixing the ISBox launcher, so ISBoxer is now permanently borked, and you have to do that workaround Vulcan posted.
Yeah, I'm sure someone else will like figure out something like a simple script or whatever to fix it. So.
Yeah, one will hope. Currently,
here we go.
it's
So this
quite
does
annoying
have
to
the
set
Eve
up.
time. You're right. So there's the beta. This is what the beta looks like. I like this change. I'm with Jay on this. I think when you go to log into the game for the day, there's a lot of other games that do this on their launchers that gives you access to just click all the news. Anything they've got going on, sales, news.
I wouldn't have known that those limited Serenity skins are on sale if it wasn't for this. They look pretty cool as well.
Eve's too complicated. There's too much shit in the game to really take the time to look for sales, right? So this is I think this is a good step. I like this a lot, actually.
So I want to give a shout out here to Telecom 7 who linked to Battle. Apparently, we just lost like 30 billion ISK of dreads in northern Bumfuckistan.
Oh yeah, let me tell you.
Some Russian room. Yeah, the Russians doing a little roam whatever.
So yeah, this is hilarious. We do these from time to time. This one was Russian based. I haven't done one in a while myself, but
and just a capital suicide room kind of thing.
Yeah, so I'm not resizing the. Apparently, you can resize everything, like make the account part bigger if you want, and add accounts and all that stuff. I'm just gonna leave it like this. This works for me, because I only press one button anyway. But one question I do have, maybe what you think about this. Someone asked in chat, "What is ISBoxer?" Jay, you want to talk about that? You use it a lot, don't you? I think.
Yeah, it's a software that interacts like between your client and your machine. ISBoxer sits in between those two, and it sort of interacts with both. So it's really good for CPU management and window layouts. So you can have like, before they added a bunch of EULA changes, you could like cut up the UI, so you could have like 15 locals on one monitor, and control each of those locals at the same time. You can't do that anymore. That's against the EULA. But what you can do is like, the Eve client only resizes to a certain size natively, right? And ISBoxer allows you to change it smaller. So I can have, so when I'm mining, I have 15 clients on one screen, and that all fits, and they're all full-sized windows, but just smaller. And that works fine. And that's all great. It also allows you to input broadcast if you would like to. I've heard advertising ASIC miners is a good way to input broadcast. But yeah, it's a piece of software. It's like $60 a month or something. It's really useful for if you're doing high level like multi-boxing, like high account numbers. Then it's really good for that.
Yeah, I run 26 accounts, and without it, it's terrible.
It's interesting. I've used IS Boxer in the past. So back in the day, Windows 7 was a nightmare, and Windows XP before that with window management and CPU management. But with Windows 10, you can actually mess with the windows a little better. So I haven't used it in a while, mostly because I like playing E for free. But yeah, it's $6 a year, and there is actually, or used to be, I don't know if CCP allows this, but back in the day, there used to be like third-party developers that would build into IS Boxer. And IS Boxer's been around forever. For those who don't know, a lot of people use them to multi-box WoW, play 10 accounts on WoW and do their own like raiding. They use it with games like that that don't have like really good multiple account management. Eve's getting better with it over time, but IS Boxer's still unparalleled. So
if you're playing the game at any sort of high level, it's definitely something to look at. Like Joe says, Joe uses it for multi-boxing when he's ganking, or it's 26. You wouldn't be able to do that like normally, would you? Like I know some people do.
No,
it just makes it a lot easier.
No, I mean,
like,
yeah, you can set up your window layout so it's like tiled and stuff, but it's a lot easier, especially with keybinds, where I can just cycle through accounts and I can see my bumper, my looter, and all that. Then minimize screen. It's just great.
We are coming up on Cool Kids Only mode, so I'm happy to see that we've had so many subscribers today. So as everybody knows or doesn't know, if you don't know, you're about to find out, at the 45-minute mark, we shift into subscribers only mode as a perk for the Cool Kids. And if people have Q&As as part of the Cool Kids Club, we try to answer those questions. So I'm about to flip that over, and if you happen to have random questions for our guests, for me, for anybody, feel free to toss those out.
After a lot of years, this next change is going to be huge. So all these changes are, if you go through and actually read the dev blogs, is CCP saying, you know, at Vegas, look, we listened to what you had to say about UI changes and like little things, and we're actually implementing them finally. And one of the biggest ones, and I think a lot of people like this that use keybinds, I don't as much, even though I should, is that if you make keybinds and you go to rebind a key, it will automatically offer you the chance to rebind it to a new key rather than having to dig through and find the old key to remove it. So say you have something bound to S already. In the past, if you went to make a new keybind with S, it just wouldn't work. And you'd have to go dig for the S and hope you find it. And it was just a big pain in the ass. So they finally added that, fixed that. So that's really cool.
I have a question here that came
sure.
from Bleezy123, which is any speculation on what's going to be happening at Eve's? Does anyone here have any idea what CCP's big announcement is going to be?
I don't know. It's going to be like the third-party games they showed off at Vegas, right? Or was it Vegas or FanFest? What was the last one they just had?
Vegas.
Vegas, yeah. They're probably that fucking first-person shooter game. I think.
Like basically just after they tested it, the feedback they got, they decided to shelve the thing for a while and come back later. So I don't know if there's going to be, maybe they're going to come back now. That's a reasonable speculation, but they did have an announcement that basically said like, oh, oops, sorry, this needs more work and back to the drawing board.
Something important too is that they no longer have a FanFest as of this year. It's going to be split up into like traveling the world. So this could be a time where you see FanFest-like announcements split up over the year, and you could see maybe they'll announce more Draglavian stuff. For example, we only have one of the T2 logistics, and they mentioned there was a second one coming. So there could be that.
I don't know. I don't really have any idea what's going to be in the pipeline there in terms of like major changes. One of the things that's been curious about, you know, a lot of times CCP will respond to what the player base is actively talking about. And besides the odd like botting controversy on Reddit, you don't really see any major pushes for gameplay changes. ProGod Legend came on here a couple of weeks ago, and he was advocating for some changes to capital ships. But beyond that, there isn't
publicly, but behind the scenes with FCs and stuff, there is a quite big push for a capital rebalance. Would probably be the right word, just because they haven't done anything with capitals majorly in 2 years, 3 years.
That would be interesting to see actually go somewhere, yeah.
One thing I am looking forward to, I hope, and this is coming, again, since we are talking about new patches, I mean, besides what could happen at Amsterdam, is they are separating out sinos and beacons from overviews. For those that don't remember, beacons are things like NPC sites that pop up or points in space you can warp to and visit. But now they are literally moving Sinos to something else, so you no longer have to have beacons on your overview. So as an FC, that makes things nice. When you're trying to warp to a Sino to kill something, you don't have to worry about beacons or other things popping up on your screen, which is pretty cool. So what's this about the Harpa thing? This is the first I've heard of that. Please.
So rumor has it that the reason why FanFest has been on the road is that due to all the personnel shakeups, like the person who was in charge of event management at CCP was let go during one of the staff shakeups, and that they derped on securing their spot in Harpa's calendar, and so I would expect to see a return to the FanFest venue next year, but they're sort of having to do this world tour thing because when you whack your event manager, then somebody's got to pick up the pieces, and I guess they didn't. It's kind of a shame because there's another venue that the old FanFests were held in. The very first FanFest was in a different venue. I was not there, but before they moved to Harpa, they were held at a big sports hall called Laugushallen. I'm going to fuck up the Icelandic pronunciation. The only challenge with that is that it's in way outside of the main walking distance downtown Reykjavik fun times, but as a venue, I always thought it was a lot more fun than Harpa, and the clubbing there was fantastic. Back in the day when they had more of a party focus at the CCP leadership crew, we had events like chess boxing. You got to see really amazing DJs like Soulwax, and Laugushallen has they were able to basically take the sporting rink, I don't know what it was, but these just big halls and convert them into Spaceship Eve themed nightclubs and have these crazy ass DJs, and it fucking owned. So if CCP ever fucks up their lease for Harpa again, I would hope that they would consider giving Laugushallen a try again.
Yeah. Also, this is something for our HiSec friend here. It says now when you do cargo scans, estimated price and item count will be in the scan. What do you think about that? Like a total price when someone has a huge freighter full of things.
That's fine, I guess. The in-game value is always pretty terrible, and we've had third-party tools to do that for us for a long time, and I'll probably continue to use those. So, it's nice, but not major changing for me, at least.
How fucked are the in-game values? Are they a little fucked, or is it just completely useless because it's an act?
It can give you a rough estimate, but it really depends on the item. It's shit like ore can just be super off, or there'll be other items which will say it's 100 bill when it's in reality 50 mil or something. It can be super fucked.
We learned about this before. Is one of the things you can do, Mittens, is if say you buy out a very low usage item and then list it for 100 million a unit, just one of them, and then when someone dies on Zkill, it'll pop up that they lost a couple 100 billion worth of stuff, and so the cargo scans and Eve Zkill and all that stuff is based off that. It tends to go off Cheetah, which is a mess. It can be a mess. So,
speaking of Cheetah, just going back to our earlier discussion of slap fights and HiSec with this fight club, when the nullsec block powers are having these fights in perimeter, using T1 ships and just sort of slamming into each other at high speed or low speed, because these things can drag out for a while, have there been impacts upon the nearby systems? Has Jita been going into tie-dye mode? Are random unaffiliated pubbies getting sucked up into the sort of backblast of these null fights in perimeter?
Yeah, there is some overflow. The nodes haven't all been reinforced, so the region, I guess, has been having tie-dye.
Yeah, it's weird too because perimeter is different than Jita when it comes to nodes. Mm-hmm. So sometimes Jita will be tie-dyed, and sometimes it will have tie-dye when perimeter's in full fight mode. It just really depends.
We have a question here from Rockaholic, which is a very good one. Are there going to be more giveaways in the future? Yes. So one of the cool things about getting sponsored by Blue Microphones is about once a month we're going to have just some swag and that's cool.
There will also be Eve swag starting next week. I've been really busy. My fiance goes home Thursday for a while, and then we're going to go back to doing in-game giveaways that we can do now that don't have to be subscriber only. It could be for everybody. So, for example, with the new Triglavian ships, those are pretty fancy and rare and awesome, and I have a bunch of them, so we may give away a bunch of those next week. And
that sounds cool.
Skins. There's a a lot of call for people that want skins. More and more skins are coming to the game, especially the rare ones. We can give away those. So yeah, there's going to be more giveaways. We haven't done them in a while because I've been really busy. So
we have a question here from Sally Salomon, which is, if FanFest is going to be in Iceland in 2010, am I going? Yes, I am. My FanFest policy, I don't go every single year, but if I do skip a year, I try to make sure that I go the next year, just because there's so many people from the Imperium that are going there, and it's shitty to not have a chance to hang out with my European friends. So, you know, it's not always a yearly thing. I missed out on last year, and then there's all of this actual FanFest nonsense. I did look into going to the Eve North thing, which is in Toronto, because it's a cool city. But I think
I'm excited
to get a top hat.
I get to go Tuesday to Cake Test. That's going to be an interesting experience. I was told that's the best thing to look forward to in a wedding, is the cake testing.
I don't know what a cake testing is, and
basically some baker brings out a bunch of cake and both just sits there eating it.
Yeah, so they're going to bring out every flavor of cake they have, and then they bring out like all the different designs, and we get to choose. Wait, so you're saying you'd have to deal with that like all those years ago?
No, there was never like a cake testing. I mean,
yeah,
I think somebody handled it.
Yeah, so they have it now where like the bakers like everything is.
This was also like a decade ago.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I had like a wedding ceremony in 2008.
So everything now is different. So like the officiates fight over who gets to be the officiate. Like we get to interview 3 of them and like choose who we want to be the officiant, which is pretty cool. And then the same with the bakers. We have 3 that we get to like go sample their wares and decide, because they're all priced the same. So we get to decide who just makes the best yummy cake. And I was talking with the guy that's going to be my best man. He's like, yeah, the cake testing's your favorite part, because you get to go and have this baker just kind of put everything in front of you and say, eat. What do you want?
Okay.
I mean, it sounds like you don't need a honeymoon at that point. You can just have another cake testing.
Yeah, no thanks. I'm going on a cruise. Fuck that. Cruises are amazing. But anyway, back to Eve. We're about 5 more minutes here. So Burnt Jita is coming. We will show that live on the Meta Show. Usually that's on the weekend, and we do show a screen of that. Like I'll follow around and show Kill Mail, so you'll get to see that. And then expect February patch. I don't exactly remember the exact date. Do you guys know the exact date on that? Because it's coming soon, but or did it already happen, Odo?
It hasn't happened yet. It'll probably be either next week or the week after. The only 2 dates, I think. I don't think they'd put it on right at the end of the month. Probably the 19th.
Also, real quick, one last thing about these patch notes so far that have been really good is if you're trying to troll people with links in local, they are now colored different depending on the kind of link that appears. So you can no longer just like accidentally click a Kill Mail and think you're going to a Kill Mail and going to a chat window. Or in the past, people used to use that to crash your client or do other nefarious things. So CCP is combating that.
So all these changes, it's worth noting that all these changes, all the little things changes, are done by I think CCP Kaka, and she does that in her spare time, I believe. So like she has like the normal job at CCP, what she does throughout the day, and then in her spare time she works on
UI,
the little things patches, yeah, which is great because you know.
Oh, we do have another question for the Ascot. Are you going, like, if the racing's cancelled, are you still going? What?
I don't think that the British are even capable, from what I understand, which is very little. I was invited to go to this by a couple of friends of mine, but from what I understand, as it is the center of the social calendar of the year, I don't think that they're even allowed to cancel it. I don't know. There's probably a very complicated gentry, posh nobility thing involving in that, but I hope not, because I've already bought my tickets and I'm headed over there. So worst case scenario, I'll rent a narrowboat and go faffing around on the canals or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, the question here is, does that mean I can't Elmiter people? No, he made a point of saying you can Elmiter people. I think Fozzie pointed this out, but it just means a little extra work. You're going to have to put in some effort and hope someone's not paying attention. So there will be that. But yeah, so little things. Little things are nice. I don't know about you, but when I play this game, the little things is what makes the game easier as somebody who actually uses all aspects of the game. So
I want to see the next time that they announce little things once those new emoji are in for like on Twitter, the announcement for them to use the little dick. I'll be excited about that.
Alrighty. It was all canceled till Wednesday. Horse flu.
Oh, dude, that gets my anxiety going. That emoji being added. Oh boy.
I think it's going to be a fantastic defense in the war against dick pics if women are able to respond with that.
Oh
It'll
my
be
God.
curious.
The amount of bruised egos.
Exactly.
Also, can I give a shout out to someone? Oh,
Yeah, go
last
ahead.
minute. Does everyone message John Hartley on Discord or jam us and wish him happy birthday?
That's
I
right. Happy
think that
birthday to John
deserves-
Hartley.
Yeah, I think that deserves a
He's
broadcast. Did we get a
He's
broadcast for
been
that?
doing work on his birthday. He's fighting for the Space Empire. Yeah, I'll send a broadcast.
Yeah, we need a broadcast
suggest
to
that
PM
gets out.
him. That's really important.
Well, everyone PMs him and wishes him happy birthday.
Yeah, it's as long as you say happy birthday to John Hartley. Oh, no, indeed. But yeah, so stay tuned. Again, we're out of time here, but hopefully this next week, lots of things happen. I don't know, like with this high-sec stuff going on, no one's really using their Titans and Supers, so we don't have big, drastic news. We did see Skill U ramping up things. Now that Test is focused on perimeter, Skill U is in Amencia like crazy, so there was a little fight there with that just recently, so.
Broadcast abuse. It is done.
Yes.
I guess it's technically not abuse if I'm sending it, but
Well,
yeah, hey, good times.
I mean, it is. I heard that. Oh, never mind. Let's talk about that later. All right. Well, we're out of time. We got to go. We're out of time. That's it. Anything else?
Well, apparently there's just been a 100 billion ISK dread bomb killed with supers and fountain that just popped up from
Really?
Honeymoon.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude,
just
that happened this week. Ah, fuck. Did we? Wait, I thought we talked about that last week. Hold on. I'm pretty sure we talked about that last week. Hang on a second.
It happened this week though, so yeah, we didn't talk.
If it happened 2 days ago, no, we haven't talked
Yes.
about
All
it.
right. So yeah, that happened.
Some Moloch was running.
Yeah, so what happened, Jay? Can you tell the story?
Yeah, Moloch was ratting in Fountain, and he walked to his next site, but there was an inhib up. Very, very, very amateur move. Always check for D-scan for inhib. So he walked into the site and realized he was inhib. But Darkshines, being the crafty devil he is, was already ready for this. He saw the code in the matrix and realized there was a dread bomb coming. So he signed in like Titans at like 100, started DDing all the dreads that landed. It was like super cool.
Yeah.
Interesting thing though, the Titan in the Moloch that got dread bombed. His previous Lost Melva Titan was in X47 as an NC Erebus. So I guess someone's
Well, it gets even better. His name's Honey Moonstar, and it just so happens to be the same Moloch that I think PL tried the dread bomb in the same fashion, and he let himself get caught that time too.
So you mean the guy who actually told us about the event and reminded us to talk about it on the meta show is the guy at the center? His name is Honey
yes, it
Moonstar,
is.
Honey Moonstar, yeah.
Yes.
It wasn't him this time.
Oh, it wasn't him this time. Well, because usually it is.
Honey Monster is Dark Shines. That makes a lot more sense to me.
Yeah, so usually it's a Moloch of some kind. Molochs, for those that don't know, are the biggest tank in the game. Like, a small dread bomb like this. Yeah, a small dread bomb like this isn't just ain't gonna do shit.
I mean, he got pretty low. He got like 40% armor, I think. So like, it was like kind of, he was touching cloth at one point.
But isn't 40% armor like the same amount of armor that like an Erebus has anyway? I mean, I don't know, but he survived, so high 5. Komodo's better, but I don't have one yet, so I can't talk about how great a Komodo is till I get one.
If you have a Komodo BBC male Joe Painter in game, thank you. Looking to buy.
All right, and thank you for probably the last sub of the show, King
Yes,
Demo. I appreciate
thank you.
And let's give him a chance to chime in if he wants to say anything before we say our goodbyes. We will begin the saying goodbye process. I want to thank everybody for coming and watching today, and thank our guest, Joe Painter, as well as our other guest, Jay. Thank you both for being here. And yeah, a lot to look forward to with Burn Jita on the way. That's going to be pretty badass.
Yeah, and as we walk out the door, I want to just quickly remind everyone that the Cabal Expanse War is being won by one guy. So while Horde is trying to defend that entire region and losing iHub after iHub, it is literally one guy.
Kunmi.
Yep, shout out to Kunmi there. I was told to give a shout out to that guy, so I am. I love Kunmi.
And Liberty Squad and Black Ops. Thanks, guys.
Why?
All right,
I didn't want to
we'll be
reveal who
back.
else.
We'll be back next week. So thank you all very much for tuning in, and catch you later.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
You are about to receive messages that may be harmful to your mental state. Your sense of reality will be questioned. Your view on things will be altered. You are now part of the meta. The meta controls everything. The meta determines what will and will not happen.